If doing rideshare is so bad, just quit. If doing rideshare is so bad and makes you feel so miserable, just quit. This is what people in the comments often say. Just quit. It's not always that easy. It's not. A lot of people doing rideshare, I'm finding out now, have a lot of issues with standing jobs where they have to stand for long periods of time. In my case, in all honesty, I'm aged out, but it's my fault. Meaning, there's too much of a gap in regular employment. And at my age, although I might look young, I'm actually 53. And to go back to retail after being self-employed for, it's been at least 6-7 years, it would utterly be impossible to get a decent wage going back to any type of retail job, which is my only experience. But I find that I've learned a lot of skills along the way that could help me in the future. And the problem's never been rideshare. Rideshare's never been the issue. It's Uber and Lyft's greed, once they went public, is the issue. Even though we were complaining in the early years, because the pay did start to decline in the early years, it was just gradual. Once they became this upfront online model, the pay dramatically cut in half, I believe. And it was right around, I want to say when, at the end of the pandemic, I want to say 21? Yeah, about, I want to say around 2021. I couldn't give you a date, to be honest with you, but they changed to this upfront pay model, because I remember literally just complaining 2020. I stopped driving most of 2020, and I don't think I began driving again until sometime in 2021. And I remember my first couple of rides, we had no upfront pricing, and then they switched over to upfront pricing, and it was a dramatic cut in pay. But we were so happy to get the upfront information, I don't even believe we paid attention to it. Because for a while, it was just the excitement of, oh God, I can finally see where I'm actually going. Driving for Uber or Lyft is like you're a painter and your boss tells you, we got this painting job, we're not going to tell you where it is, we're not going to tell you how much you get paid. That's how it was in the past. So imagine being, okay, this is how much the job is, this is how much you're getting paid. You're so excited, you're not realizing, oh, it's a pay cut. It's a pay cut. They cut it literally in half when upfront pricing came. And I don't want to say who did it first, but I want to say it was probably Uber that did it first, which is usually most of the decisions. It's usually Uber, and then Lyft is like, oh, we got to jump on the bandwagon. But my issue's never been with rideshare. I believe rideshare can be a beautiful thing with the right pay structure. I believe in any state, if you have the right pay structure, rideshare could be a beautiful thing for everybody. Even with the few dangers. Because let's keep it real, with any business, there's going to be dangers when you're dealing with the public. Point blank, period. A certain percentage is going to die. A certain percentage is going to get hurt. That's just the reality of it. This is why I don't drive at night. That's just the reality of it. And if we're going to sit here and complain and act like those things aren't going to continue, we're crazy. But with that being said, there's always improvements on the app for passengers. I think a lot of drivers are like, let's just put some of this attention on driver safety. Some. Which is understandable because we're not going to stop all these people from getting murdered, raped, killed, but the percentages could go down. We could bring those percentages down. I think that's all that anybody wants, really. I think truly that's all we're fighting for, is to just get the percentages down. Because these recent ones are just like crazy. And then the greed with the driver pay. Literally, I think if any other rideshare model came along, I don't think it would put Uber and Lyft out of business, but it would begin a nice changeover where drivers will make more money. Because think about it, if you have a third player, even if you just have a third player in play that pays you a little bit better than Uber or Lyft, the driver pay goes up because now he has a third option. It's gonna use more juice on your battery because now you're gonna have 3 apps open instead of 2. But that's all right for some of us. I think my Samsung can handle the juice. But having that third player, even if it brought you an additional $50 to $100 a day, is life-changing for some drivers. Think about that. It's life-changing just to have a third company that paid the drivers fairly. Now, I shouldn't even be saying this, but this third player could get away from the monthly pay model. I think a lot of people understand the monthly pay model that Rides is introducing. I'm sorry, I just hit a bumpy road. I think everybody understands the monthly pay, but let's just say you had a third option that only took 20% of your earnings. A true 20%, like Uber did in the early days. That would be life-changing for a lot of drivers, including myself. Life-changing. And instead of having this bidding war to the bottom, like Trip Radar, where you got to fight your own fellow drivers for a few dollars, and actually paying the closest available driver that was active, like Uber did in the early days. And let's just say this was carried out by a true co-op. A true co-op. It was managed and run by a true co-op. Whereas somehow in the creation of the company, they agreed to never go public. Because I believe once the company goes public, that's where the problem came into play, really. That's truly when the problem comes into play, because that's when the greed kicks in, because you have shareholders. It's all about shareholders. The company's got to grow. They got to satisfy these shareholders. If you was a shareholder, you would understand too. I get business and I understand business, but I also understand that driver pay is never going to be 100% what we want in a capitalist society. We have to have options. Instead of this 2-company monopoly we have right now, we need options. I like to give the example of wireless technology. It was Sprint. We were down to Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. And when T-Mobile did the merger with Sprint, it was confusing because they're different technologies. I was in that era. I used to sell cell phones for years before becoming a driver. For a while, it was fear that they couldn't have the big players to buy a company. They didn't want Verizon and AT&T because they were the big players. It's kind of like your Uber and Lyft. And they were kind of afraid to even have T-Mobile and Sprint, but those were the two smaller of the four companies. So they allowed that to happen, and now we're down to three. But there's still enough variety within those three, I believe. And those are the three major carriers in the country, as far as I know. And other little mini companies run off of their service. You know, you got your Crickets, your Metros. That's where we are with, but we only have Uber and Lyft. And a bunch of small little mini companies and players all over the country. I think we need to have one company step up and become a nationwide company. You know? And I'm hearing about rides in Minneapolis. I'm not saying they're going to be the next big one in the country, but somebody needs to step up. And the problem with that is they could be corrupted as well. That's the problem, you know. And they're not even telling you that they're spending millions of dollars to make sure that people are addicted to driving. Even myself, I think I'm somewhat a little addicted to driving. And I think rideshare is okay, but we just don't want to do it with Uber and Lyft. So I think if you have a plan to get out, even if it requires you to still drive, if you have a plan to get out into your own business, I suggest everybody do that. I'm thinking God along this journey has given me the ability to learn a new skill. And I think that's what I've learned with marketing. I've learned a new skill with AI technology, marketing, YouTube, social media, and I have a bigger picture and a bigger plan. But it does involve driving. But I want to transition into my own company because these new companies aren't moving fast enough for me. You know, kind of selfish way of thinking, but they're just not moving fast enough. And I think my only option is to go private at this point. You know, like I said, some of us are aged out. We can't go back to retail. We can't go back to, unless we start our own business. The only thing I could probably do outside of driving is probably start my own marketing agency. And I'm already doing that. It could take years. Could take years. And while I'm on that journey, driving pays the bills. It pays the bills. I didn't want to say it on camera, but oh my God, I just saw one of those Tesla trucks. It looks hideous. I didn't want to say it on camera, but every now and then I've been taking off the books private rides. You know, I didn't want to say it because I know technically I don't have my license and commercial insurance. But you got to test the waters to see if it's even possible. You know, and it's only with a select few passengers. You can't do this with every passenger because truthfully, if you ask the wrong passenger, it could land you kicked off one of the apps, which at this point ain't the end of the world. I get it, but just have a plan. And I think that allowed me to have enough courage to say I could do this on my own, because I've already dabbled out here naturally. But having a commercial insurance is the right thing to do, and it's going to make you sleep good at night, knowing, okay, I'm real. It's going to make you feel like you're a real established entrepreneur now. You're not an independent contractor. Which, there's nothing wrong with being an independent contractor. It just means a lot more in the business world if you're an LLC or a corporation. You're talking writing off more right stuff. I'm not a CPA or accountant or anything, but obviously you better write off a lot more. You'll be able to get into, maybe commercial deals that could go a lot further than operating in your own name. And I already have a business for my online stuff, but I didn't transition this over to my Uber and Lyft business. So I know the steps, and that's where I'm going right now, because I have a plan. At least I have a plan. I've been driving for about 6 years, but I have a plan now because 2024 has become unbearable. It truly has become unbearable with the games that Uber's been playing, particularly. And I think it's just time for people to start. I know it's hard, and some of these other bigger Uber YouTubers, they make it sound so easy to get out. Because trust me, it's not. You got to find something you love. And the only thing I love more than driving is this stuff. Marketing. Social media. And I've got like 6 total channels. But what I notice is the thing that I dislike the most, I'm the best at. Because the rideshare channel has transitioned to even one of my other channels. I put a couple rideshare videos from the Nice Guy Driver channel on one of my other channels that I was just like dabbling. It was like a vlog. And only the rideshare stuff took off. No one wants to hear about finance. No one wants to hear about business. Nobody wants to hear about solutions to get out of rideshare. Yet all these hate comments about shut up, stop complaining. But the truth is, people want to hear my life going through the drama of Uber or Lyft. Even the ones that hate, they're intrigued. They like to hear it. They like to see it. Because I got my most engagement on the Nice Guy Driver channel. Not the most views necessarily, but the most engagement. Like the comments is just go look in the comments after this video, or you'll probably do a comment. People have an opinion on rideshare, good or bad, but it kills me how you guys just say stop crying, just stop driving. Uber spends millions of dollars to make this stuff somewhat addictive. I'm not saying we all got to be stuck driving for the rest of our life. But what I am saying, it's not easy transition out. It's not. My roommate was telling me he has a full-time job. Good example. I hope you don't watch this. My roommate has a full-time job, and he drives for Lyft part-time. And he was very frustrated one day. He was just frustrated because the day before he made a record-breaking amount for him. I think he made close to like $300. It was the last time he made like $300 on the app. I remember. And this is after upfront pricing. He still made $300. But it was one of those days. It was a lucky day. And the following day, the same guy was so frustrated with the apps. The apps will do that to you. It will mess with your mental. because you're so frustrated on how you can make $300 one day and barely make 100 the next. And you're driving as many hours. These apps will do that to your brain. And when I say it, if it's really messing with you like that, not only should you get off the app, but maybe you need to talk to somebody. Seriously. Because it even frustrates me at times, where you get so frustrated, you feel like you have a boss. That's why Uber and Lyft is in trouble. Because if we're independent contractors, I shouldn't feel stressed out from an app. If I was truly an independent contractor, I should be able to go about my day and maybe deal with a frustrated passenger every blue moon, but the app should not be the thing frustrating me. And I heard that Dara, something leaked about him in a video saying, it wasn't in a video, but it was in some documents about what they were saying in one of their Uber secret meetings, that they know drivers are going to become increasingly angry because the wages are going to go down. That's in their business plan for them to grow the company. For the prices to go up for the passengers. It was a famous video. I think the rideshare professor put it on his channel. If I find it, I'll link it below, that he was talking about it. And the driver pay is going to go down, and they're going to increase passenger charges. That's part of their business plan going into the future. It's so low now, I don't even understand how they can go lower. This is a good thing. Like I said, this forces new companies to come out. I swear to you guys, I wish I was smart enough to come up with a way to get enough government grants or funding to find a way to build my own app. Because I would build it fairly and I won't take it public. You know, I would do a traditional corp. Here's how I would structure it. I don't want to sound like a genius or anything, but I know just a little bit about business, being that I have one. I would structure a C corporation, because the older people, older than me, that built the foundations of business, they prefer to see a traditional C Corp. I would do a traditional C Corp. I would have an official board of directors. I would be one of the board of directors. I would have an official board of directors, 4 other people not related to me, so we could all come to a decision without it being a tie. This is key with the decision making. We put in the articles that this business will not be taken public. That's part of the business plan. We take this company, because if you have it where you're just going to sell it off, Uber probably will buy it, and then you're back to square one. You know, so you take it where you won't make this company go public. The only thing I don't like about co-ops is too many people you got to answer to. So this is why I say you have an official board of directors. And I would have to be, as a 5th, have to answer to 4 other people. I would be the only active, acting person in the business until we start hiring drivers as we grow. And we go out and set it up, get the limousine license and everything, but start getting government funding, locally and state, federal funding, which I know how to go to SAMS.gov and start that process, but it's really going to take a lot of money. It's probably going to take, bare minimum, $500,000 to set this up in Connecticut where you could actually take on Uber and Lyft and be somewhat successful. Not impossible. Not impossible. There's limited companies out here, but I'm saying where you're the biggest name in Connecticut. You're the Rides of Connecticut. Or Rides out of Texas. They're the big boys in Texas. For you to have to be the big boy company in Connecticut, you'd have to have, I'm thinking, at least $500,000. Bare minimum. You know, and have at least 10 to 20 active drivers in the largest cities in Connecticut, meaning Hartford, you want to have the most drivers there. Second, probably New Haven, Bridgeport, and then the rest you could scatter amongst other busy towns outside of New York. You know, you got Stamford, Norwalk, you know, and spread it out where you have enough drivers in enough areas and grow this. It would grow. And you could literally take 20%. You could take 20% of the fare. Drivers would still on board, and I think the 20% would work better than doing a monthly subscription. Hit me in the comments, let me know what you think. Do you think a monthly subscription would be better? Or do you think 20%? I think if a driver don't have to pay anything up front, they're more likely to sign up. I think you get so many drivers signing up that are already on Uber and Lyft if they don't have to pay anything up front. So the company obviously has to take a hit in the beginning because they're going to have to pay for all those background checks in the beginning. But in the long run, take it 20%. Only 20%. So if a driver gets $100, no matter what, the company's only taking $20 out of every $100. That would be enough to, I think, to maintain the app, pay whatever employees you had, and I'm thinking this could be a small run company. You really only need, software engineers? You know? You only need a team of tech people, 3 or 4 tech people, I'm thinking, to keep this maintained in Connecticut and then grow from there. And then maybe in the future, you might have to find other ways of bringing in money, but it don't involve taking from the driver. You could start doing other things. You could branch out into renting cars. You could branch out into what Uber's doing, these non-medical emergency transportation rides. Get licensed for that. But keep it where it's a traditional corp that's not public, and those 5 directors of that company will make a lot of money, and still have a fair rideshare company, and then you could do stuff like, a real referral program, not network marketing. We're not talking Trip. We're just talking about affiliate marketing program, just like Uber and Lyft did, but make it a flat rate affiliate marketing program. Everybody you refer, you get like $10 or something. And just keep it at that number, because I find that companies give out too much money in the beginning and then they struggle to maintain it. They just cut it off. Just keep it, $10. Everybody's happy. And the minimum fare ride in Connecticut should be at least $5, I believe. I'm talking the shortest ride. Should be a minimum $5. Everybody, this will be fair. Everybody's happy. That's where I see. I don't know why Well, I do know why. But why Lyft had to go down the same exact road as Uber? Because I think Lyft could have did better and still made a profit. But hit me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't already, I appreciate all the support. Subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.